Actually, let me start this over. Let me play what he said first. Actually,
where they thought that some other niggas coked up. See, but that's the point.
by the way, this is it's really disrespectful, man. At this point, I'm trying to wonder, what's the end game? What's the politics going on right now? Because what he's saying doesn't make any sense. There's something going on in the background. It's got to be.
Yo, but see that, but that's part of my argument is that when I was a child, marketing made me think the Knicks Bulls was a ooh.
So you had Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Allen Houston, Oakley. Okay. I mean, they weren't winning the chip, but that was a good team. Come on.
Pacers, Bulls. Ooh, that nigga wasn't playing nobody.
He was not going to lose.
That nigga wasn't playing nobody.
That wasn't I don't care how cool.
I'm gonna get into who he was playing. We already know who he played, but it's not making any sense. You have to make an opinion that makes sense. Michael Jordan won 6 times. He lost none. Everything is about the end goal. It's about the bottom line, and that's winning the championship. And not only did he win the championship, he pushed the league forward. He was the one that opened the door. Since when do we discredit or bash the people that were the ones that were the originals, the ones that opened the door for us? I have a brand, but I would never diss certain people. Kanye West or Virgil or, even, I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. The owner of Louis Vuitton, there's certain things I would never do because I can't. It just makes no sense. You owe those people for creating a lane, creating an industry, creating a market. What Michael Jordan did was brand himself as an athlete to the world, internationally. That's hard. That takes years of consistency, years of overcoming certain adversities. It's just crazy. Because if he didn't do those things, then LeBron, KD, Curry, all these people might not be able to come behind him and make all the money that they're making now without even going through those initial doors that he did go through. And yes, he did have cocaine players on his team. He came into the league with that. That wasn't his fault. That's the league's fault. So what you're saying, Joe, is that he helped build the business? That's what you're saying? So he helped build the business. Now you got the players now coming into the business off his back, right? On the players' backs. And David Stern, he came in there and he cleaned up. He partnered with him. And you're going to go back and bash this guy because people that look like you and me are making 8 figures. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how we kind of take shots at each other. Now, you can say in your opinion, I think LeBron's better. As a basketball player, I disagree with that as well. Because LeBron's a complete player. Yes. He has all the attributes of a great all-around player, and he's definitely an argument for top 5, in my opinion. But the intangibles matter. It's mindset. It's about if you need to get the job done when it's time to get the job done, who's going to get the job done? And not only that, Jordan had a go-to shot. LeBron doesn't have a go-to shot. LeBron is skilled and he can hit big shots. He's clutch. But he doesn't have a go-to, I'm just hit this jumper right now and just wet. Even Kobe had that, and he wasn't as efficient as Michael Jordan. If you look at the numbers, he was not as efficient as Jordan. So we gotta really use our brains because the stats are there, our eyes are there. Is the competition better now? I think this is definitely the obviously most skilled generation. And there's a lot that goes into that. There's training. They've had the privilege of seeing the past already happen, so they're able to build upon that. So you're telling me if Michael Jordan was, let's say, placed in this generation, they could, hey, Michael Jordan, limitless pill, you're now 25 again. And based on what everyone's doing now, what he sees, you don't think he'll be able to adjust his game, use the same nutrition? Like, it's common sense, right? That's what it's just. And for someone to be an original or an artist, you would think they would have more respect for people that really, really were great at whatever they did. you could pick up someone else without bringing the other person down. And yeah.
His was he was never going to lose to Reggie Miller, bro. He was never going to lose.
That's
not marketing. What are you talking
marketing.
About?
Was marketing.
They building a narrative after the fact. That's
it
what
was marketing, and
he's saying that's not marketing because you can't market the fact that Reggie Miller wasn't better than Michael Jordan. He just wasn't better than Michael Jordan. You can't market that. And why would they want to market that? They wish Reggie Miller was better than Michael Jordan or as good as Michael Jordan. Shout out to Reggie Miller. He was a great shooter. They put dirt on Reggie's name because Reggie Miller was he could shoot the lights out on the run, and he was very slick. He wasn't really that big of a person, but he just imagine if Curry was taller, less efficient, sleek, slot goes into the lane, drives the ball, but a competitor, fierce. That's who Reggie is, and Reggie did actually bring his team to the finals, to the Lakers finally. So he was that caliber of a player. Because once Michael Jordan was out of the league, guess what? The Pacers went to the finals, guys. But let's continue.
he ain't even fucking learned enough to leverage some of the shit to work out in his favor while he was an active player.
Okay. So if Michael Jordan was the first one, right? And when I mean first one, what we see today, the LeBrons, the Kobes, the KDs, the Kyries, we have our stars now, right, that are guards. Prior to Jordan, it was about the big men. They never even thought that a guard could win the championship or help lead the team to winning a championship. It was all about the big men, remember? Yeah, Will Chamberlain, Kareem, Bill Walton, Bill Russell, Moses Malone, who these guys probably don't even know, who's a top 10 player, top 15. Yes, people don't even know him, remember him. So disrespectful. What's his name? Nate Thurman. By the way, they had big juggernauts back then in the 80s and 70s. Like, people do realize it's basketball. It's dribbling and putting the ball in the hoop. Black people, we're some of the most talented and artistic people. You don't realize that. We were nice back then. Watch Dr. J, what he was doing on the court. Dr. J, if you put him in this league at 24 years old, he would have a field day in this league. Because he's a creative mother lover. He's Kyrie, taller. You know what I'm saying? It's basketball. Kyrie don't have the most muscles, Joe, but he's the most skilled. Why? Because he believes he's an artist, right? And our people are full of artists and creatives. When you watch Michael Jordan, you saw art. You saw how skilled he was, the finessing that he could do, how he could utilize his wit and his grit and his artistry to win. We saw it with Kobe with his intensity and his artistry. We see it with LeBron, but we also see the intangibles with LeBron. It leaks out. We see the mental, sometimes it's just, it slips out. And that happens to all of us. It's hard, we can't judge nobody. I'm not judging. I'm just calling it what it is. We can't deny reality. LeBron is top 5. What he's doing in his career right now, I think it's impressive. You can't deny it. Yeah.
He let David Stern them use his fucking likeness, make all the money in the world.
But he's the richest athlete in America, Joe.
And for what?
Yeah, but
So if he didn't let them do that, then he would have been the richest person on earth? Is that what you're saying? Listen to what we're talking about. Listen to what we're talking about. Put things in perspective. If he's the first one, he had to learn, and he had to do it on the fly year after year. His owner traded him for no reason, Joe. They traded him, Scott. They broke up the team for no reason, by the way. Jordan could have arguably had 7-8 rings in a row. Who knows? Once he got through the door and he figured it out, it just is what it is. I think sometimes people, you could come across a little too good. And I'm not talking about his personal. We're talking about basketball, the career. We're talking about his career. I think his basketball career, it was just executed a little too well. And I think Michael was a little too arrogant. People don't like that. He was too strong. Even his owner didn't like it. No offense, but look at his owner. Owner was a short guy. He wanted it to be about him. Like, bro, you're not out on the court playing. It's not about you. It's about the people that are playing. You take the credit. Oh, not the owner. I'm sorry, the GM. the GM at the time. It's like, come on, man. And then you're going against that, and then he still cracked through the door and left the lane for people to come up and eat after him. What? What?
Get it now.
He got it on the back.
I don't got nothing to do with it.
But be clear, nigga.
Nobody was on that type of time back then. Not Magic, not Bird.
Nobody. And you wouldn't have either. You wouldn't have either, man.
Not Jordan, not nobody.
I'm saying in elite.
You're not right. Let me stop. I was going to say, people really aren't right now because what you're doing is accepted by a large group of people and you get protection. You're not, the stuff that you're championing and fighting against, you're getting supported by people. Back then, if Jordan would have said certain things, you know how difficult it would have made things for him? How much more loopholes he would have had to already jump through? Come on, man. He went in there confident and with a corporate smile, extracted the revenue, left the lane for people, left a business model for people to come up for after with the partnerships and the business acumen. And yes, staying out of politics helped his brand to a certain extent, his business. But from what I hear, he did a lot behind the scenes to help people, which matters more because it matters more about reality, not what you're saying in the public. It matters more what you're actually doing. What are your boots really on the ground, or are there agendas? Are there just this face pleasing? Come on.
League full of niggas that wasn't that athletic.
Wasn't that athletic. All right. Exhibit A.
Gary scored 84 points in 2 games against Chris Jackson in high school. Here's Shaquille. I can't believe it.
Oh, look, it's Joe. Get off.
Rodman grabs him and
You got Rodman, 6'9". Pippen, what, 6'8", 6'7", 6'9". You got Shaquille O'Neal, Nick Anderson, Penny Hardaway. Who else was on that team? Was it Harper? They had ball. This Orlando Magic team with Shaq, Penny, they're going to the finals. You know that, right?
part of the game. Outrage. The way the Magic can get back into this and proceed in the series is showing out. And a spin move at the basket.
Hold on, man. Hold on. We got to start this over.
That's one of the best plays.
Played by Kerr.
I want to see Tim versus Joe.
Nice fake by O'Neal. And you get the idea he has got.
Won't go. O'Neal the rebound. Now the Magic with a final shot chance. O'Neal runs the floor. Takes it all the way. Well, that blew my theory.
He looked back at him. He said, what
There,
am I supposed to do with that?
says I might as well go down there.
They didn't have athletes in the league. What are you talking about?
Shaq's got it. Dribble drive, Shaq. Bounces. Gets it.
So everyone loves Kobe, right? Kobe and Shaq was in the league with the Lakers lost to the Jazz. Those were the team. Jazz used to whoop on Lakers, right? We know Shaq and Kobe. Shaq just said that he could have been LeBron, potentially. So if we're comparing Shaq, we got Shaq in the league with LeBron, right? And as far as player skill. We got Kobe in that range, right? Everyone loves Kobe. So if the team that Jordan beat used to beat the dog out of Kobe and Shaq, which is the Utah Jazz, and Jordan beat, and when the Lakers won, Jordan, oh man.
A league where they thought that defensive shit was cool. They was working on defensive shit for 70 years. Big men, low scoring games, hack up, fuck a nigga up. Hey, when we get some real athletes in here.
Jordan was the first super athlete. And they didn't know until they saw it. Some things you don't know exist until you see it. Were they marketing for that? Were they looking for Jordan, Joe? Were they out like, hey, we need a super athletic guard that's doing crazy dunks? Besides Dr. J, there was nobody doing that. They thought Dr. J was, an anomaly. And Dr. J, we need to bring up Dr. J's name more. It's crazy. I don't get it. It's blasphemy. It is blast for me.
Some niggas that could do some of this new shit you ain't never seen before. Side step back face.
You mean Jordan?
Away 40 feet, nigga. I don't want to hear that Mike shit. LeBron had to deal with niggas.
You just argued with me the other day about making the same
They shoot long range now because that's what they work on. That's what they do. They added it to the game. Yes. That doesn't change. Excuse me. That doesn't change the fact of what they did before and what we saw. So you're telling me if they spaced the floor back then, you don't think all the shooters that were shooters back then would have went up? You don't think Kerr would have had a field day with you don't think the pure shooters, Mark Price, Chris Mullin. I'm going to the shooters: Reggie, Mark Jackson, Glenn Robinson, Rick Fox. Shoot, Ori. If they was spreading the ball now the way they do, and they could shoot, they didn't spread the ball like that. The floor, I mean, sorry, they didn't spread the floor like that. You know what I mean? They played half court slow. That's just the way the game was. In the 80s, they actually played a fast pace, but they didn't shoot the three that much. But they played a very fast pace of basketball. If you look at the 80s, very high scoring. They weren't as so. Yes, I think Michael Jordan would have done great in any time. I think if you put Michael Jordan in today's league, you put him on. Okay, so it's today's league, right? So we have to adjust to today's rules. What team do we want to put Michael Jordan on? Because we know how it is now. So we got to play by today's rules. We're not going to put his old team. Let's put Michael Jordan, just the player, on the Celtics. Let's talk about Michael Jordan for Jaylen Brown, Michael Jordan and Jason Tatum in the finals versus LeBron's team right now with Anthony Davis. Who's winning that? We traded Jaylen Brown for Michael Jordan. We put Michael Jordan and Jason Tatum on the Celtics against LeBron's team. Oh, yeah, LeBron's team, they're not